Okay, let me quickly start cloud.uipath.com. Hello everyone. Is my voice audible? Loud and clear?
Yes, Nisarg.
Okay, perfect. Let's get started. Let me share my screen. And here we are. Okay, so so since last 3 days, as Rohit has already mentioned, we have seen all the latest and new updates in UiPath product suite, which is related to AI and the new features which has came up with the Gen AI and specialized AI perspective, right? And we have seen that in throughout in our last 3 sessions, along with the deep dive into each and every product, like document understanding and AI center. Now, today's session is again one of very important, critical, and very amazing session because this one will actually help you to integrate the generative AI in your UiPath workflows. Now, when I say integrate your generative AI within your UiPath workflow, it actually helps a lot, right? And also, apart from the existing connectors and UiPath connectors, we will go beyond and we'll also see how we can actually set those connectors, how we can actually leverage those as an API as well, and what are these concepts and what is the basics, right? So let's learn everything from basics and scratch, and I'll try to cover as much as possible within this 1 hour. So feel free to drop in any questions during the session. Feel free to drop in questions around the end of the session. Feel free to stop me if I'm going too fast, and feel free to stop me if you hear my voice breaking. Okay, amazing. Let's get started. So first things first, on Automation Cloud, in order to use these AI connectors, right? What are these connectors? So when we say generative AI connectors, which are the new, buzz keyword in the industry, we navigate to this service on our Automation Cloud, which is integration services. So just click on integration services and you'll be directly redirected to the page of integration services, where you can see all the connectors that you have available, right? You can see there are many connectors. And with this, now there is an amazing feature, which is a filter. Just simply go click on category and say generative AI and just apply the filter. And then you can see all the AI connectors or Gen AI connectors, which are available with UiPath's integration services. So currently we have available Amazon Bedrock, Anthropic Cloud, Google Vertex, Microsoft Azure, OpenAI, and OpenAI by ChatGPT, right? Now, all of you might have heard about ChatGPT, obviously, a lot in this industry. And also somewhere you might have already used Bard, right? Which is, again, the base model is Chat Bison, right? And now the new models, which are, or the new connectors which are available with UiPath, which are again leading in the industry, which is Microsoft Azure OpenAI, Amazon Bedrock. But Amazon Bedrock is not, I won't say it's like a complete enterprise solution for generative AI, but it actually allows you to host multiple Gen AI solutions and utilize them. And then Anthropic Cloud is, again, as you can see, this is one of the LLM models or offered by, which is again a case of generative AI by high token limits and focus on reducing harmful outputs, right? So again, this is one of the LLM model. Now, to go back and to talk about the generative AI terminology before we directly jump in, let's understand what is LLM. So LLM is a concept called as large language model. Now, what is large language model? So these large language models are basically trained on huge amount of data, and the machine learning model behind this entire generative AI or LLM is nothing but the transformation model. This transformation model changed the game of entire machine learning or AI industry. This transformation model was very recent and very amazing model, which actually allowed you to train a specific model in such a way that it can be trained to not only generate. So how many of you have heard about NLP? Can anyone tell me what is NLP, full form of NLP?
Natural language processing.
Correct. Now, what is NLG? Have you guys heard about NLG? Natural language generation. Correct. Now, what is NLG basically? So, if you have seen when you actually go to Google or let's say any, let's say even Gmail, right? So, if I want to type any email, let's say I won't go to my Gmail. Let's say let's say Google. Okay, if I want to type, let's say, how to travel. Now, when I'm typing this, right, it's actually allowing me to generate these data, and also sometimes it gives you a recommendation where you just type the right keyword and it gives you a generated text that is nothing but NLG. So similar to that, like natural language processing, natural language generation, now the era has come to a picture where we are using a generative preemptive text model, which is transformation model, which is nothing but automatically generates your data, and that too based on huge amount of training which is done. Now, if you've heard about this terminology with the LLMs, which is 40B, 120B, 50B, that B is nothing but billion parameters, right? So 40B means 14 billion parameters, 20B means 20 billion parameters. So those are all LLMs, right? And now the very famous LLMs that we have used, I won't say the LLM models that we have used, because we have used the chat functionality. For example, if you have used this chat GPT is nothing but just a chat interface, but the model behind this one is your GPT 3.5, GPT 4, right? These are the models behind the scenes. And then there are various models open source by OpenAI, which you can actually go ahead and use them, right? So we'll look at all of that and we'll see how we can integrate that with our UI. Let's get started, okay? First things first, coming back to integration services. Again, one of my favorite product of UiPath, which allows you to perform so many variety of operations and connect with the different connectors. Let's click on filters. You can see all the different type of filters created by release, new, or category as well. Just click on Gen AI and you will see the latest available connectors. Let's talk about OpenAI connector. It's a simple connector. OpenAI is one of the most famous, which is your ChatGPT. All you have to do is just navigate to the ChatGPT's API page. How do you do that? So just go to ChatGPT official page, which is platform.openai.com, and log in. Moment you log in, all you have to do is just click here, say view API keys, click on your account where you have logged in, view API keys, and then create a new secret key. Just click here and just say, demo, for example. Create a secret key. Just copy this key and come back here to your integration services. And then you can simply, let's say, for example, I'll create this connector in UiPath MVP, this one. Okay, what I'll do, I'll just say OpenAI. Now this OpenAI, I'll say connect to OpenAI. And what did I do? I just copied that secret key which we generated, right? I pasted here and clicked on connect. And you know what? That's all. The connector is already connected. The connection has been established. And we say connect to OpenAI. I just entered, right? Okay. And oh, sorry, I think I connected 2 times. Let me just delete one of them. Okay. And you see now you have the connector with you, which is connected. All you have to do is just click here and check connection and it's connected. That's all. Now, the second simple thing. So what did I do? I just went to the official documentation of OpenAI. Simply platform.openai.com, clicked here, went to view API keys, generated a new secret key, went to my integration services, search for OpenAI connector, clicked on connect to OpenAI, entered the API key, and that's all. That is all which you had to do. The moment it is connected, now all you can do is just click on activities, and you can see there are 2 activities available with this connector, which is generate chat completion, generate text completion. Click on text completion and you can see the details, which is given a prompt. You can utilize this. Simply go back to UiPath, and in UiPath, all you have to do is just search for a package. Click here and search for a package. OpenAI. Right? And here you go. You have the complete package with the activities. Just click on install, save, and the package will be installed for you quickly. Now, all you have to do is simply, once the package is downloaded, let it download. Once the package is downloaded, you can see these 2 activities, and you can use any of this activity, provide your input, and you will receive your output, and that is all. So that's how easy it is to actually use generative models, which are like LLM models with UiPath with this connectors. It's so easy, right? All you have to do is just search now OpenAI, and you have these 2 activities. Amazing, right? Just drag it, Also, when you drag, make sure that you, within your UiPath Studio, you're connected to that specific tenant. So we created the tenant within UiPath MVP. So I'll just switch the tenant here. And the moment you switch the tenant, you can see the connector is available, default OpenAI 3, and there is a default prompt. And then when you click here, you go to properties, you can see all the options of parameterizing your ChatGPT API of text generation, right? So text completion, where all these are the parameters of your API basically. So this activity is nothing but hitting your API of GPT, which is text completion API, and getting the response from there. But it's very nicely packed within the activity of UiPath. And then where is the connector? Since you already established the connection with the OpenAI, you don't have to actually go to authorization, get the bearer token every time, go ahead and hit that authorization, then get the token and the token and then run the text completion API. No need to do all that complex work. It's all simple, easy. All you have to do is just get that API connected, and here within Studio, you can directly use the connector. It's as amazing and as simple as just create a work variable, say your text completion response. Okay. And the response that you will receive in the in the right line, I'll show you. So your text completion response is just text completion dot, and then you can get all these values out of that particular variable type. So this variable type is nothing but a text completion variable type, from which if you want string, just say as text, and you can get that entire response as a string, which is, you see, the variable type is by default generate text completion, which is uipath.openai.integrationservice.client.generate text completion, a default, not a default, but a custom parameter or a data type. Now, this data type is basically specifically defined for only OpenAI connector output. So you can use this and you can get the output how you want, right? In the right line, which I just showed you. It's simple, text completion response.as text, or you can modify however you want that. So this one is one of the biggest connector of LLM or generative AI models, which we just did. Any questions in that before I move on to Google Vertex AI? Any questions? So currently, okay, I have questions, but I'm expecting questions from you. Currently, there are various APIs available, and I believe some of you might have that question like, can we do Whisper AI? Can we do text to image AI using OpenAI APIs? Currently, it is not available as an activity within OpenAI connector. However, I can recommend you can go ahead and you can create your own custom connector, or you can use that as an API, which I will show you in some time. Any other questions apart from this one? Okay, perfect. Let's go and let's have a look at the documentation piece. Okay, simply what do I do is just I click on documentation. If you want the link or the reference, I can share it in the chat. Oh, you, Shailesh, want to know the API key generation process. Okay, Shailesh, simple. I just pasted the link in the chat. You can refer to that link. You can log in. Once you log in, you will see your ID here. Just click on your ID. And all you have to do is just click on the view API keys. And then simply click on create new secret key. And the moment you create a new secret key, copy that key which is generated, come to integration services. Here you can click on connect to OpenAI. It will take you to another prompt. You just paste your API key here, whatever API key will be generated, and just say connect. And the moment you connect, your connection can show you this like connected. If you want to check if your connection is valid, just click on check connection and it will show you if it's connected. Simple enough. Any questions on this one, Shailesh? Last time you use OpenAI through error license upgrade. Yes. If it's throwing license upgrade means your API keys have already exhausted. And I mean, the parameters or the API response, whatever you want to receive, there is a certain limit to that for the free account. So maybe you want to upgrade to enterprise account, and that's what has happened with me also. For me, it's not working because my all the quota of using I have exhausted already. So okay, yes, let's talk about connectors as well. But to give you on a high level idea, this connector is nothing but, just think about it from a perspective that it opens you a world of all the APIs. Wherever UiPath is heavily, I mean, we are using heavily UiPath for UI automations, right? But when we talk about enhancing the automation, we always look forward to APIs or database connectivity or pulling data from the background. Now, when that comes in picture, we also have to check whether the API is connectable or feasible with UiPath. Does it actually work that way, right? Or do we have any specific connectors like OutSystems? So this is a product which UiPath has, where you find all the connectors, right? And literally, I'm not talking about only generative AI, but I've used rest of the connectors as well, and they're amazing. Like you talk about the connector for Dropbox. Now let's say you use a Dropbox connector. With this connector, you have several activities, right? And let's go back. Let's say I'll show you one more connector which I have used heavily, which is Microsoft OneDrive and SharePoint. Now this connector is amazing. It has so many activities. Just look at it. Worksheet created, file moved to trash, row added to the bottom, file created, cell updated, file uploaded. Then activities like your get file, upload file, get file list, create a shared link, then create folder, copy file link. All these activities you can actually use, and these are the events on which you can actually trigger. So basically, what is integration services? To give you a high level idea, Babita, that this is nothing but okay. I'll repeat that piece. Okay, simply, what is integration services? So integration services is basically a product of UiPath which allows you to connect with the APIs of the top enterprise applications available in the market. So majority of the automation that we do, right, they require your UI automation. But when you want to avoid UI automation in order to enhance your automations, what you look for is the APIs, or whether that particular application allows you to connect with the APIs of that application, right? And when you find out a way, do you want to go ahead and you want to use the API activities or your web API activities? No, right? What you want to do is you want to simplify that by leveraging the already existing connectors and custom build activities, so your work is reduced. Now you don't have to go ahead and explore the documentation of APIs altogether again. Like for example, OpenAI. Now, if I tell you, if a person who is an RP developer and who just started or begun the work of automation has no idea on API testing or API automation, doesn't have enough time to go through all the documentation, then let's say if I want to use, for example, some of this models, then I don't have time to go through this documentation, select whether curl, Python, Node.js, then I have to learn that, how to use that again, and then use that API. So rather what I would do, I'll just go to UiPath integration services. I will check that particular application, whether it is feasible. And then once you create or establish your connection with that application, obviously, which is a simple process of authentication. So whenever you use API, you always need authentication. It could be your OAuth, it could be authentication 1, OAuth 2, it could be your simple authentication or any type of authentication. This is nothing but the connectivity. And once your connection is connected, for example, I'll show you, I have several connectors here. So I have, let's say, you see here, OpenAI, Whisper, Google Cloud Platform, Microsoft OneDrive, Vertex, Outlook 365, Hugging Face, and so many other. So what do? I created these, I created the connection with these connectors. And now since I have already established connection, I don't have to always go back and create the authorization token, bearer token, then hit the API and then wait for the response, then get that response converted. No. So what your integration services do, it allows you to use those connectors which are readily available for you, which makes it very simple for you to actually integrate with the API level access. And then using the activities which are relevant to those connectors. For example, any connector you pick has activities tagged with it. For example, Slack. Now, if you're using a Slack connector, then you will have activities tagged with the Slack connector. If you're using any other connector, you will have activities tagged with that connector, right? Now, using those activities, you can very easily access that connection which you have established on the integration services. And similar, it goes for the generative AI. And why I'm explaining this topic so much, because believe me, the hackathon which recently happened, right? Majority, 90% of the use cases which I saw, I mean, overall use cases which was submitted for AI category, every and each and one of them have used the connectors. It could be OpenAI, it could have been your Google Vertex AI or Microsoft Azure OpenAI. But they have used connectors to connect with those LLMs and then get the response within your UI path. And then how you want to use that, it's all up to you. The use cases are all up to you, how you want to use it. But this is how you connect. Okay, we have talked about the connectors so much. I hope that concept is clear now, Babita. Okay, amazing. Let's get started. So we saw OpenAI connector. Now let's look at what are the different APIs which are available with OpenAI. Right now, when I say OpenAI, it's nothing but the ChatGPT originally, but that ChatGPT is just the chat-based platform of the GPT. But the original models behind them, what are these models? Let's look at those. Okay, so let's get started. What do? I just click on the API reference document here, and now you see within the API, there are so many amazing APIs available with the OpenAI, and few of them I have already used and I love them already. One of them and most interesting one is the image. So this API allows you basically, you see, create an image given a prompt. So you just type what you want to see and it will automatically create image for that. Isn't it amazing? Did you know that? Have you used this feature? No, right? Because this actually is literally one of the most cool feature which is coming up with the GPT-4 model, right? Which is to create the image. Then there are various pieces to it. You say create image edit, create image variation, image object, right? And then there are different APIs to do that. And you can use those APIs. Now, how difficult is this to actually, go ahead and use these APIs? It's not that difficult, to be very honest. It's very easy, right? I'll show you one of the example and then you can follow up from that. Let's go to the audio. Now, this is another most amazing API available by OpenAI, which I love a lot, which is again generative AI and LLM backed, which is speech to text. Now, it's not a normal speech to text. This speech to text is amazing. I have tried it. I have used it. Obviously, it needs your paid licenses to get access to this API. Like you need a enterprise account of OpenAI, which is I think not that costly, which is cheap enough. But once you get that, you can actually use this endpoint and you try it. It's amazing. What it does, it basically takes input as a file, which can be your MP3, MP4, MPEG, MP4, blah blah blah. I mean, these formats are enough for an MP3 file, for an audio file, right? Then it uses a model called as Whisper One. Now, this Whisper One model is basically your speech to text model. Okay. Now, what you do, you use this Whisper One model, which automatically converts, and then you have option to choose language also. Okay. And then there are various input languages available. It's not only your English, UK, but there are various languages available here. You can check. Then prompt. Prompt is not a mandatory thing, but it actually gives a context to what you're trying to achieve. Okay. Then the response format. Do you want a response in JSON? Do you want it in text, SRT, verbose, or what? You can set that. Temperature is another property or parameter which actually temperature is nothing but temperature. If your number is 0.2, it will make more focused and more deterministic values based on the context of the prompt. And if your number is going towards 1, like 0.7, 0.8, it will throw you a random speech to text. I mean, even if it doesn't understand a certain speech, it will give you a random text based on that speech. But the lower the temperature, it will try to get as perfect or deterministic output as possible. So that is nothing but the temperature. Now, how to use this API? If not with UiPath OpenAI, so if I go here, if I check the UiPath's OpenAI connector, and we don't have that Whisper API available yet. I mean, that activity yet, right? With this connector, we can only use text completion and chat completion models. Hello, did you lose me for a while? Is it good now?
No, you're good.
Okay, perfect. So with this two activities, we can do only text completion, chat completion. Now to use Whisper API, now this is amazing piece because since you are here, you can actually see this, how you can use that. I have a, check if I actually have it loaded with me. If it is already there, it's amazing. You guys can see that. Okay, I have it with my Postman application. Okay, so all you have to do is just use that model API, which is, you see this one, transcriptions model, right? So just use this API endpoint. This is a Postman application. So in order to use APIs, usually we use Postman. I mean, I prefer Postman. I'm not sure, you can use any other platform if you want. So I posted that API here. What are the parameters which I sent? I just told you, right? Language, EN, because I want English. I mean, my audio is in English format. Temperature 0.2 because I want more deterministic value because I'm providing prompt as well. Content type, that's just a basic multi-part form data. Authorization is a token. And this authorization bearer token, what I have generated, where I have generated this is simply you navigate to authentication, this document, and you can see this authentication bearer open API key. Just follow this. This is basically your just documentation to generate the authentication token. Once you have that authentication token, you simply go and use this authentication token here, pass it here in the token section, and you are connected. Now, once your authorization is done, what are the headers that I have passed? Sorry, headers are pretty different. What is the body or what is the value that I'm passing? Now, the body that I'm passing is nothing but a file. You see, how do you provide a file in Postman? It's simple. Go to key. In the key, when you're typing, you see here text. You can change it from text to file. And then you can select the file. Select the file and you can basically select the file from here, the folder. It's as simple as that, right? So I'll just delete this one. So what is the body? Body, I'm just sending one prompt because I want an additional prompt to be provided while extracting the data. Second is model. Model is Whisper 1. So you come here and you can check that. So where did I get all this information from? When I go to chat, so not the chat, audio, you see file is mandatory, required, model is required, and they have given you value here, Whisper 1. And language is optional. By default, it should be EN, right? And then come here, provide your file, your model, and your prompt. Now, prompt I have provided is like, this is a conversation in a medical context recorded by pharmacy practitioner, discussing medications recommendations with the patient. Now, what happens here? Basically, here, given the prompt, no matter your speech to text, how it or what kind of value it extracts or what does it exactly understands from your speech, but given this prompt, when it actually generates the data, it generates accurate data with the medical terms. Even if you say, instead of your pneumonia, you say pneumonica, it will still translate speech to text as pneumonia because you have provided an additional prompt that this speech or this conversation is a medical dictation and it's related to the medical terms. So it will automatically understand, okay, they are talking about medical terms, then we will provide the translation based on medical terms. Isn't this amazing? Now, that's why I love this API a lot because this API is so thorough and OpenAI has published this so amazingly that you can, if you want to use this speech to text during your hackathon, literally go for Whisper API. It's amazing. Now, how do you integrate this with UiPath? Simple. Just go ahead, create your own connector. There's a complete documentation on how you can build your own connector with UiPath. You can do that. Or if you want to simply use the API activities, you know the package, just go to manage packages and you have the web API package available. Yeah, UiPath.webapi.activities, and you can use the activity which is the web API with which you can actually integrate with the API. Amazing. So we have talked about our very first LLM model, which is the OpenAI, and it has so many amazing features, so many amazing activities and APIs. And believe me, I haven't even tried this one, the image one. The image one is super amazing. It's literally generating images. I'm not sure how and what kind of use cases you can come up with, but there are super amazing use cases in future which are related to the creating images. Okay, now let me give you one example. If you want to see live how to use this, Okay, I'll come to that later. Let's talk about UiPath first. Okay, let's jump to the Vertex. Now, let's talk about another model or another connector of Gen AI and my favorite one, because I'll tell you why I'm saying that it is my favorite. I say generative AI, and here you go, Google Vertex. Now, there's Microsoft Azure Open AI as well. Can anyone tell me what is the difference between this OpenAI connector and Microsoft Azure OpenAI connector? Anyone?
Is it related to Azure Resource Group and container management, that AI?
Correct. So basically, what Microsoft allows you, or basically Microsoft's Azure has done, that they now allow you to use the generative AI in a context of privacy. So you can actually, whatever data that you actually enter in the generative AI models nowadays, it's, you know, that it's not secure, right? It's not private, because you're providing that data to that specific model. You don't know how the data will be used, correct? In order to use the model, you still want to use the GPT model, and you still want to use that basically the feature of generative AI with you. And that's where you need to give the privacy for your data which you're providing. And anyways, we talked about one amazing feature provided by UiPath, and which we have discussed during the Forward 6, which is the UiPath trust layer. If you have attended the very first session of this series, we talked about UiPath trust layer. That trust layer basically allows you not to share your private data with this generative models, right? And that's where the UiPath trust layer is so important, and that's where using the integration services models, sorry, is very very important, so that you can actually, you know, use the generative AI with the privacy of your data. Exactly, share says increase privacy and authentication layer. Correct. That's the Microsoft Azure OpenAI. Okay, amazing. Let's talk about Amazon Bedrock, and then we'll jump onto Google Vertex. So what is Amazon Bedrock? So it's very new. Amazon Bedrock is nothing but a fully managed service which offers you a choice of high performing foundation models from leading AI companies. So basically, they still don't have their own LLM model, I would say. Maybe they have preview, they have already started doing that. But what Amazon does, and as it's already a very nice functional cloud platform, they allow you to integrate your, top level AI companies models which are created like Anthropic, Cohera, Meta, Stability AI, your Amazon with Amazon will also come up with some model, and all of that with just single API. And that's what your Amazon Bedrock is. Now, if you want to use all these amazing models, which can be hosted or which can be deployed on Amazon services, can be used with Amazon Bedrock very easily. And that's where UiPath's integration service connector of Amazon Bedrock allows you to basically fully use the models, or fully managed services, which actually makes foundational LLM models from your leading AI startups and Amazon available via API. Okay, I'll repeat the whole concept again. I know I went too technical into that, but simple terms, simple language. What Amazon does, it allows you to host third-party AI models on Amazon services. And what UiPath does is basically connects with that Amazon service using the API connector. And that Amazon service which hosts generative AI models is called as Amazon Bedrock. Now, if you're able to connect with Bedrock directly, you don't need to actually have to go through all the authentication of Amazon separately and then use the services. No need for that. You simply just connect Amazon Bedrock with UiPath, and that's all. You start using your activities of Amazon Bedrock, which is get text completion using this and that, right? Anthropic using AI 21 Labs, using Amazon Titan, and then using Anthropic. So Titan is the model which Amazon has released, and they will soon be publishing that as well. So that is Amazon Bedrock. Now, again, what I'm saying, Amazon Bedrock is amazing. Your GPT is amazing. But why I personally love Vertex, let's see that. How many of you have actually used Google Cloud Platform, GCP? Anyone? Word of hands? You have used Google Platform or Google Cloud Platform, GCP. Okay, I see Dushan. Anyone else? Anyone else? Anyone else? Shailesh have used it. Kiran has used it long back. Abhishek used it. Learning for data engineering certification. Okay. Amazing. Perfect. So now that you can relate with me, why I'm saying this and why I love this product a lot, because let's go to the GCP portal. Okay. So first of all, what is Vertex AI? And then we'll go to the GCP platform and we'll see how we can actually connect it with the UI path. Okay. First of all, Vertex AI. What is Vertex AI? So Vertex AI is basically your Google's one of the available service, Google Cloud Platform's available service, which actually holds huge amount of AI features. The models are limited, like Chat Bison or few Chirp, few models, right? However, the level with which you can modify your generative AI and you can train, it is just like your Microsoft Azure Open AI application enterprise solution. Simply just like that, Vertex AI, you can see here, Vertex AI Notebook, which includes your choice of Collab Enterprise and Workbench. Vertex AI training and prediction, which actually helps you reduce the training time and deploy a model of production very easily with your choice of open source model and framework. And then your MLOps for predictive and generative AI. So there are various built MLOps tools which are available. You have document AI, you have anti-money laundering, discovery AI, contact center AI. These are the pre-built Vertex AI platform solutions. I attended Google's I/O program here in Singapore, and it's amazing. I mean, they talked about the money laundering AI, anti-money laundering AI, and that was super amazing because they built a custom model only for anti-money laundering AI, based on one of the bank's POC, and then that went crazily for every single bank platforms, and now they are using it. So those are the platforms or the models which you can create using Vertex AI, and you have a model garden for that. Now, what I'm talking about, let's go back to the GCP. So this is a Google Cloud platform. You also can log in if you have account. If you don't have account, you can create your own account. But to get account on Google Cloud platform, I think initially you get somewhere close to $300. You might need to register with your credit card first, I believe. But once you have that $300, I think it's more than enough for you to play around Google Cloud platform a lot. Like literally, you can use it for so much of time. You don't have to worry about that. I have been using this since last 4 months, and I have been using it like a lot of services, and I haven't paid a single rupees. You can see my account is still SGD $0, right? Okay, smooth. So I created a paid account, a billing account, and after creating a billing account, you can actually use Google Vertex AI very easily. So you see Vertex AI here, right? In GCP, just click here. And simply what you see here is get started with Vertex AI. Now, what are the different APIs which are available with that? Very first thing you see Vertex AI APIs, you just have to enable that. I have enabled it. Cloud storage API, enable it. Then you can use data flow API, artifact registry API, computing engine API, blah, blah, blah. There are so many other things, right, which you can use. Vision AI API is again one of my favorite ones because with Vision AI, you can actually basically, just give me 1 second. Just a sec. So sorry. Okay. So with Vision AI API, you can actually use Google's Vision AI OCR, which is amazing OCR and one of the best ones which I have used in document understanding as well, right? Okay. With all that, let's go down and see what are other things that you can see in Vertex AI. So in Vertex AI, you basically have your Collab Enterprise, which we just saw a new notebook experience with enterprise grade privacy and security, and start coding in a couple of clicks. And it's very easy. So now coding has become more and more easier with Google Collab. If you guys have used Google Collab earlier, Google Colab basically allows you to create Python coding, to use Python coding, talk about Java or any coding platform very easily and just start using their cloud service. Now, generative AI studio, we look at that. And then there's a model garden where you can actually browse and customize and deploy your own machine learning models. Let's see model garden. I clicked on try now. Now, this is literally a garden of models. Look at this. There are so many amazing models. Language models, there are 39 language models. Look at this. Palm 2 for text. Now, Palm 2 is Google's favorite model, which is used in the backend of your Bard. So if you guys have used Bard, right, basically it's nothing but a Palm model. Then there is LLAMA, fine-tune and deploy Meta's LLAMA model on Vertex AI. Then you see there are so many amazing show 50 for all. Look at this. So then there is embedding for text, Imagen for image generation, chirp, label detector, your Palm 2 for chat, Cody for Cody completion, and then there are so many models which are available here. Just look at this. I'm just scrolling, and all these models are backed with LLM, and every one of them is defined for a specific work or specialized thing. So it's nothing but a generative AI. But remember, we talked about this in document understanding session. It's still a generative AI with a specialized purpose. So we can't say that it's a completely generative AI technology, but this is a Gen AI with specialized purpose. So it's basically a specialized AI as well, also with the trust layer, right? So that's Vertex AI, and that's why I told you, right? I love Vertex AI a lot because I have played around with a couple of models here, and we'll also see how we can do that. Let's go back. Now, generative AI studio. This is where you basically spend huge amount of time. So there are three things: language, speech, and vision, which we talked about, right? So language are important one. Click on open. And in the language, you can see there is a generate text, start a conversation. And then there is basically, you can go ahead and you can check the documentation of API. And then there are several models, science chatbot, customer service chatbot, gluten-free chatbot. I'm not sure why gluten-free. I'm not sure. Is it something related to cooking? Oh, I think, yeah, it is related to cooking and diet advice. Amazing. Then there is a company chatbot, fictional character. You can build your own fictional character and talk with that character, right? Then finance table summarization. You see summarization models. Then your classification models, and you have several types of classification, extraction models, and then there is writing, and then there's something else. Do you recall UiPath's AI Center by looking at this? It looks kind of same, right? So it's all the same. It's just a couple of models out of these are connected with LLMs, and that's where the response and their accuracy is on a higher level, and then their extraction of the data is also pretty amazing, right? Now, let's look at my prompts. I haven't created any prompt yet. That's why it's empty. You can select any one of these and you can start using it, right? Let's say science chatbot, or let's say fictional character. Click on open, and you can literally start chatting with that particular fictional character. Also, you can modify the parameters right here. Like let's say region, your model. The model currently being used is Chat Bison. I told you, right? The model which is actually in a backend of your what do you say? Bard application, or Bard chat model, which is very famous by Google, right? But the name is still Palm 2. But the models which are behind it is Chat Bison 32K, and then various models which you can select from here. Okay. Amazing. Temperature, I told you, right? Temperature is the lower you go in the temperature, the higher level of meaningful data you see. And the higher you go in the temperature, the random data you see. That means what happens basically when you reduce the temperature, your model tries to give you as accurate information as possible, or as relevant information as possible. I won't say accurate, as relevant information. And the more you increase the temperature, it starts throwing you all the garbage data, but it tries to make sense in a hard way. That's what I can say. And then advanced, you can actually then modify various parameters based on your request and response, and you can actually use this model, right? Now, going back, continue. And go back to the dashboard. Okay, now going back here, let's look at which model you can actually use. So let's go back to our UiPath integration services and search for the GPT, the generative AI. And go to Google Vertex. And in Google Vertex, now you can see the activities. There is a chat completion and text completion. So currently still there is a chat completion and text completion available. So you cannot use the chirp model or any other models yet, but that will be available in the future for sure, right? Now let's go back to the Vertex AI and see the model garden. Now you can go ahead and you can view details of each of these models, and you can deploy these models if you want. But if you want to create the connection you can actually go ahead and you can create the authentication connection with your Google. So let's say enable API services, go back here. Okay, now you see I created Vertex AI API. There are 80 requests from my APIs till day, and then there is 95%. I mean, you see the latency, then there is some couple of errors and data, right? And there are various APIs which I have enabled, but I haven't used them. Now I click on Vertex AI API, and you see all you have to do is just make sure that you enable this API. And the moment you enable the API, you will receive a JSON format API key, a complete JSON format API key. I can actually monitor what I have been doing with my API, right? And then once you enable the API, you can get the download the JSON format information. Wait a second. Go back. Finish. Sure, it's actually getting grayed out completely. Strange. Give me a moment. Yeah. Now, all you have to do is when you go to the API services, you enable the Vertex AI API. And when you enable that API, you just click on create credentials. The moment you create your credentials, you can see the authentication is created for me, and I have received this client ID and client secret key, right? Now, when you receive that client ID and client secret key, creating your credentials, you also have to link your service account with that. It is very important for you to have the actual account, which is a paid account. And if you have that paid account, service account connected with you, then that JSON format, which you receive in a format of the client ID or client secrets, download that complete JSON. All you have to do is come back here. In the activities, connect to Google Vertex. Then mention your project ID. Your project ID is your share the detail. The project ID is basically your yeah, this one, wiki UI path, right? This one. Then your second one is your region is by default there. And then service account key is the entire JSON format. You see here, I have already uploaded one. That's why I'm able to see this here, right? Type, blah, 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 project ID, everything. The entire JSON key you upload here, you give your project ID, and that's all. Now, once you give all that details, you will have your Google Vertex AI Connector connected. You see, for me, it's connected already. And now how do you use that? Okay, let's see one of the use case and let's see how you can use that in UiPath Studio. Okay, let's see a simple example. All I did, which is your Google Vertex AI Integration Services package. Okay, now the moment I downloaded this package, what do? Is I'm taking one prompt as an input. So what I'm doing here, I'll just show you. I'm is coming in a prompt. Find the following information in the exact format. Don't change the format as mentioned below. What is this? Can anybody tell me what I have written here? What is this in terms of your LLM training or using LLM? Is it prompt or is it training? We saw the similar thing with the OpenAI as well.
I think it's a prompt.
Prompt, correct? That prompt parameter is nothing but providing additional information on what you want to achieve with the data. So what did I do? I gave a prompt for the better accuracy. Yes, correct. And then I gave my format as total years of experience, colon, previous employer, colon, certification, colon, achievements, colon, right? Now, I gave my information and in prompt, I will actually, what do? just simply use your PDF, read PDF activity, read Word document activity, whatever your, let's say you have this application in a backend of a job profile portal. If anyone uploads your resume or cover letter, you just read the data, put it in the prompt, send the data to the GPT or generative text completion, and automatically you get all this information like experience, employer, certifications, and your awards. Isn't it amazing? And how it works, let me show you actually with some example. I hope I can actually show you a live. 1 second. I have a Vertex AI connector connected, and I think my account is still enabled. So I think I should have enough credits. Let me check. Okay. What prompt I will do, I will provide is, I will go to my own personal LinkedIn account because randomly I have that information handy. So let me go to LinkedIn. Okay. From my LinkedIn, from my bio, I think so. Let me check. Yeah, about. I have a couple of information here. Yes. I'll pick this information, let's say few of the lines. Okay, I'll copy this information. I don't know what this information holds. Come back here. And in my argument, in my prompt, I'll provide here that information in double quotation as an argument. And the additional prompt is already there. And this is the chat completion model. Now, the output of the generate text completion, what do I do to select this? It's just simply, once you create a connector, it's already available in your UiPath, I mean, in your studio, right? Let me change the folder. Okay. Now, my model is automatically selected. My prompt is the str input string, which I created here. And then in the properties, you see the definition is already there. And the response is I'm saving in the text format, which is str Google response. Now, once I receive this response, I'm using a regular expression here to actually get only data of total years of experience and store it in the variable of out experience, then out employer and out certificate and out awards. Now, let me put up a breakpoint here. Let me remove this breakpoint quickly. Done. And let's debug and see if it actually works. Okay. Fingers crossed. My internet is a little bit slow. I hope it hits the API with the data. It gets the information. Amazing. It's debugging now. It has went through the generate text completion, went through assign as well. Now, let's go back to my profile before we jump there. What did we copy? Welcome to my profile. I'm highly skilled engineer with a passion of robotic process automation, machine learning, ChatGPT, chatbot building, background in Java, Python, blah, blah, blah. Then I mentioned a couple of 3 of my awards here, right? Now, let's see, based on that input, what it picked. Let's see the experience. So out experience. You see, it picked 8 years, which is closely correct. Then out employer. And I've talked a lot about UiPath, and that's why my employer is UiPath, which is again correct. Out certification. You see, UiPath certified advanced RP developer. I have mentioned there in that, and that's how it picked the certification automatically. And then out awards. And it has picked all the awards which I have noted and given as an input. Now, we provided very less information, but if you provide a proper resume or a cover letter, this will give you all the necessary information with exact accurate details using the generative models in background. Now, that's the power of text completion models within RPA. So with RPA, you can actually integrate this with however use case you want. And let me show you one of the use cases which I actually created a long time back. I think it's already there on my YouTube as well. Is nothing but the apps. So what did I do? I created one UiPath app. And I'm just giving you that idea how it looks. And look at this application. Let me preview. Now, this is the app which I created using UiPath apps and integrated this generative AI in background with the Google Vertex. Look at this. Google Vertex cover letter, introduce to this is blah, 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 enter your job profile description, or you can actually click on keep a button to upload a file, and in background, you can run a robot to automatically extract the data based on the format of the data. get the information. The moment I click on scan cover letter, it gives me all this information here. Isn't this amazing and much more easier for HRs now to actually scan the resume and don't have to go through the entire resume, read, understand whether the job description is actually matching with what we want or the resume is matching with the job description where the person has applied. All that point you can now do that within a couple of seconds. And that's the power of integration of LLM with UiPath. Okay, with the respect of the time, I'll quickly also show you one of the best models which I love a lot on Hugging Face. Now, what is Hugging Face? Hugging Face is basically nothing but which hosts a lot of models on Hugging Face. You can actually go ahead and try. I'll show you how to do that. Just click on the spaces and you have so many spaces available. So you can just log in on the Hugging Face website, huggingface.co, and then you click on the spaces and then there are so many amazing spaces which are available for you to hit and try. And actually you can go ahead and deploy your own space as well. Now let me show you. I just given a prompt, a dog sitting on military tank. If I just give any simple prompt, for example, let's say airplane or rocket on road, let's say. If I submit rocket on road, I have provided very less information in the prompt, right? Just 3 words, that's all, rocket on road. It's taking its own sweet time. Now, what is happening here? It's actually generating a context, it's generating an image based on the input which I provided, right? And I'm not sure what kind of an image it will provide, what kind of text, but you see, it is just text to image storyteller. So it gives you an image and then it actually tells you a story about that image as well. Now think about how amazing use case this is, right? You see, sky was ablaze with excitement, blah, 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 rocket stood ready on launch. And you see the rocket on road. So there's literally a road and there's literally a rocket. Now this image has been created based on my prompt input. And then there's literally a story which is created for the image which was shown. Now that's the power of AI, which is going to be seen in future. You might have already seen a lot of AI capabilities around you, right? And this is one of the biggest advantages of using AI. And I've just given you one simple idea. You can actually create your own connector as well of Hugging Face, which I have created. I'll show you my connections, and you can see the Hugging Face connector I have created. And now I can deploy any model I want, and I can actually use that model within UiPath Studio. Isn't that amazing? Right? So that's all for today. And that is the main and the core things that I wanted to achieve and complete during this sessions, because Rohit literally said these connectors is very important and we should do one dedicated session for the connectors. So we were about to cover this connector session along with AI Center, but on a request of Rohit, we literally created a separate session and it's actually totally worth it. I hope so. With that, I'll stop talking. I have talked a lot and now we'll open for questions. Thank you, Rohit. Okay. Let's hear questions. Shailesh, what if provide Excel numerical table and try to ask lowest and highest and some other random values? Yes, you can do that. However, the Excel numerical value or data table, you might want to provide as a, what do you call it? CSV, comma separated value, because it still accepts string, right? So your text completion models, chat completion models, those still accept string formats. I'm not sure if you are able to upload a table or a file yet, but yes, there are APIs available with OpenAI, which you can actually try. I think there is a API available based on the file. You see file object, the object represents a document that has been uploaded to OpenAI, and then based on the document, you can get the response, what you exactly want to do. Or you can also upload list of files. So you can use this API, Shailesh, if you want. I hope this answers your question.
Hi. Just one
Yes.
point I would like to highlight here is some of these connectors, right, are blocked by the company's policy. So when we try to use, for example, the OneDrive integration service, it was blocked by our company's policy. Just wanted to highlight that because unless we get the necessary cyber approvals, they're not going to allow using it. So I just wanted to
Exactly. So
highlight that point.
that is always there. That's always there. So
Yeah.
since I've worked with the government, I believe me, I face that problem literally daily, right? So recently we faced that problem, and what we had to do is you might have also seen one video on my YouTube recently, or let me see if I have that actually. I think this is the one which I created. So recently, what has happened with the problem which you mentioned, right? Now, what UiPath has came up with is, let's talk about the most used connector, which is your where is the OneDrive? Yeah, this one. Now, what UiPath has done recently, in order for you, if you have those issues with the policies and everything, right? All you can do is simply click here and now use bring your own application using OAuth 2.0 application. So what do I mean by that is, you can create your own application within your company policies, restrict all the URLs that you want, restrict all the access levels that you want, give only the access that you want that application to have, select bring your own app, give the client ID, client secret, and connect, and then you can use that application with the OneDrive. So you don't have to actually give all the permissions. I totally the point that when you actually try to connect with Microsoft OneDrive, you have to give permissions to everything, which not a single company would allow if they are restricted with their environment, but you can use your bring your own app concept.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that, Nisha.
Yes. Sharif has a question. What are the API traffic and other limitations when it comes to OpenAI, Vertex, and MS Azure OpenAI for trial users? Nice question, Sharif. I'm not sure, to be very honest. So OpenAI, earlier I was using API users to go on enterprise, and that's where there is a limitation. For Vertex AI, obviously, I told you, right? You can just register, you can get $300 worth of credit with one-time registration. And then Vertex AI, you can use as you want. You saw, right? I used like 80 times 80 API responses, and I haven't still been charged. So you get anyways $300 worth of a credit, which is more than enough for you to use it for like 4 months or 3 months. And for MS Azure OpenAI, okay, that's something separate. For that, first of all, you need to have Azure setup. Second, if you have Azure enabled service, then you want to actually enable OpenAI service. And for that, you need OpenAI enterprise account. There's no trial account. And once you have OpenAI enterprise account, then you can actually use that. Is there any way to generate XML from providing prompts? Amazing question, Divyanshu. I was just waiting for this question. So this is actually happening with our UiPath's autopilot. So UiPath autopilot, what it does now, I mean, I'm just giving you a teaser, right? I have used it in the private preview just 1 month back, and I provided my feedback to the product team as well. And it actually is happening, Divyanshu. So what you do is just go to your UiPath Studio Web. I mean, this will happen in future. It's still in private preview. So when you go to UiPath Studio Web and you type there that I want to create a workflow to connect to download a file from my Google Cloud and upload that file on my OneDrive, just type it as a raw data, right? And enter. It will automatically generate a UiPath workflow along with the connectors, along with all the activities. So it's already there with UiPath Autopilot. But it's in private preview. Soon will be available. But yeah, you can actually do that as part of a project if you want, before Autopilot becomes GA. Any other question? My top 5 connectors. Okay, so I usually use on a high level, you see already, so this is my Google account. But if you see my company account, the top 5 connectors that I usually use is obviously Microsoft Office 365, Outlook 365, because we automate a lot, a heavy amount of email automation and email triggers. Second, my most used trigger is the SharePoint one, the OneDrive and SharePoint, because all the companies and all the enterprise applications and customers, they deal with the OneDrive and SharePoint activities, right? Now, every time that the traditional activities giving a huge amount of issues with the authorization, bearer token, API connectivity, blah, blah, blah. Now we are moving all of them towards the integration services. And that's where my second priority is this OneDrive. Third one is OpenAI, because we have been recently doing a lot of research on generative AI connection and the solutions which are built and integrated with generative AI. That's where OpenAI. Third, I told you already. Fourth is Hugging Face. I love this a lot. I created my own custom connector. And fourth one is the Google Vertex. Sorry, fifth one is the Google Vertex because I'm currently doing my research in Google Vertex connectors. And I'm also trying to create connectors for the other models which are not yet available with UiPath. You can create your own custom connectors as well as part of the hackathon, which is, still a good point as a research. Okay, I think so. There are not many questions. So Rohit, I think we can close.
Yes, awesome. Perfect. So thank you, Nisarg. It was a very engaging session. I see a lot of questions that came in. So good to see the engagement. All the best, everyone. I see some of you have already registered for the hackathon. Some of you are going to register. At least that's what I'm told. So I'm counting on waiting for the registrations to come in as well. Meanwhile, feel free to reach out to Nisarg or myself or just write to community@uipath.com for any queries, any challenges, any support that we can provide from the community front. That's about it. I will stop the recording. See you soon in the next session. Thank you, Nisarg.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Rohit. Thank you so much for the